Our next speaker is Quatia Osorio. Quatia is a Rhode Island native born and raised, Bryant University graduate, certified prenatal community health worker, certified lactation counselor, community birth and postpartum doula. She is the founder of Our Journey, a prenatal, community-led based wellness center focusing on eliminating health determinants of communities of color through maternal support, education, advocacy, and awareness. Quatia is a facilitator of Chocolate Milk Cafe Rhode Island, a Black breastfeeding support group. She is a Health Connect One birth equity leader and City Match City leader in Rhode Island. A maternal child health advocate, she currently continues her study to become a midwife. She is the owner of Quaintly Farm. Wow, you're busy. A Black woman-owned micro-urban farm located in the north end of Providence. She is in the community garden leader at the Charles Street Community Garden. Please join me in welcoming Quatia as we learn about advancing prenatal profession for challenges in maternal health.
Oppression that took place on the land is tied to the land. Can we take a moment of silence on the stolen indigenous land that we stand? Access is not equity. Access is not equity. We know this because there are many who do not have access, and yet we know there are many with access who cannot get high quality care. They cannot get high quality prescriptives. They cannot access providers that look like them, linguistically speak like them, and can relate to their lives. We are not disposable as Black women. We are invaluable. There is a quote that says, "The United States wealth was built off the backs and birth of Black women, once used as livestock to birth our nation through slavery." Fannie Lou Hamer said, a quote we all know all too well, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired." For now 5 years almost, I have been doing the work as a community doula. A doula is truly, historically, the apprentice of the grand midwives of our nation here in the United States that birthed our nation. And this is the apprentice level. The term has been derived from what we would call the Greek word, which is a servant unto women. But we all serve women. We all were birthed from women. I began my journey in 2015 after having given birth to my fourth child, sixth pregnancy. I had lost 2 babies earlier that year. And I went to a meeting that said, "What is a doula? Would you like to know?" And I said, "Well, yes, I would." And it was there at the Doulas of Rhode Island organization meeting that I learned of this birth companion who would be available 24/7 for any odd question that I had, unlike my midwife. Would be able to send pictures of things that just did not quite seem right, unlike my OB. So when we say access, we have to say equity, equitable access, not just any access. The cost of a doula in Rhode Island is $1,200. $1,200. The Medicaid reimbursement for a midwife in Rhode Island is $800. My service is 24 hours. I can access my doula. I can call her. She's there the entire length of my labor. Did I say the entire length of my labor? How long is labor? Days, days and days, till you just want it to end. And so imagine when a family says, "I'm hiring a doula so I don't die." That is the story and the narrative of Black women here. And that is the story and narrative of a woman who successfully birthed in our state. But she hired me so she didn't die. Unfortunately, we did have a Black maternal death, and we do have Black maternal deaths in our state. Being a doula is a humbling experience. Is it an honor to be able to be present during the veil of life and death? Because in this moment, you are completely humbled because you do not know whether this mother is going to live, or this child is going to live, or this mother is going to transition, or this child is going to transition. And how will this partner react? Oftentimes, after a consultation, I walked out, I asked the partner to walk me out. And on that very short, or sometimes long, flight of 3 floors of stairs, or through the hallway, or down a couple flights of stairs, or around the corner, I said, we need to make a decision. I need you to think about this. In the event that we must choose a life, I need you to think of the life you would choose. You do not have to answer this question now, but this is a question that I want you to think about. Because in the United States, the maternal mortality rate is high, the 3rd highest in the world. We die, and Black women die almost 243% more than white women. The conversation that needs to be said around this is uncomfortable but necessary. It is a word that is nasty and vulgar, and yet is a word that some people toss around very casually. And that word is racism. It is the consistent and persistent, policy-driven and upheld foundation of the disparities within our country. It is why my chances of surviving my birth are low. It is why my chances of not making it home are high. And it is something that we have constructed as people if we do not dismantle it. The challenges of maternal health in our state are difficult because I, as a Black woman, am not a monolith, nor am I the representation of an entire race of Black people. So I cannot say what I need is just a doula. What I need is just a midwife. What I need is just a provider. I need all of this. It is my human right to have access to all of this. And I should be afforded that right. But that is not always true. Because sometimes our community health centers are the only places open till 8 o'clock at night when we get off of work at 5. Sometimes it is the community health centers that are open on the weekends when our provider takes the weekends off. It is our new fellows and residents that arrive at our birthing hospitals looking to gain experience and observe and learn from our bodies while we are willing participants in this cycle to birth life. Health equity is about health economics. So as Councilwoman LaFortune mentioned, less money, I am paid 70 cents less than my white counterparts as a white woman. And a full dollar is paid to my white men. So not only do I start off with less, the price for accessing the same thing cost me more. So when you say, why do we not have more providers of color? Because my 67 or 69 cents on the dollar for that $200,000 tuition and those microaggressions that I will have to deal with that add weathering and toxic stress to my body sometimes is not the cost that I'm willing to pay. I know in order to serve my community, I will have to sacrifice a bit of myself. I will have to sacrifice my family to do this work to save our community. But when haven't Black women sacrificed themselves to save the community as a whole? We talk about balance, We talk about self-care, but how can you truly care for yourself when everyone around you is crying out for help? When do you get a moment of peace during the war? When does this happen? Councilwoman La Fortune mentioned breast cancer being higher. We stopped breastfeeding in the Black community. We have the lowest Black breastfeeding rates, and our breast cancer rates correlate that. Our breast cancer kills us. Our diets are tied to the fact that we own less than 2% of our nation's land when we once owned 14%. This is of no coincidence. This was intentional work. We can't even count some of our Native American women because the facts and the data of disparities, as someone once wrote, the genocide of Native Americans was so successful, their data is not even countable. We cannot count them. Their health almost irreversible, and we think sometimes if we throw them a bone, maybe a casino, maybe a little plot of land, maybe a tribal recognition, that they'll be able to overcome the centuries of destitute and dysfunction that we have given them. Challenges in maternal health are challenges for all of us. We birth with our partners. We love our partners. We do not birth alone. We need to ask ourselves as a community, do you know someone who recently gave birth? Have you checked on them? Have you called them? Where is their village? Where is their model of care? We can't expect others to do what we are capable of doing. A phone call goes a very long way. A hot meal goes a long way. Another conversation with an adult, for those of you who remember having children, goes a very long way. And sometimes, ladies, just slipping out and leaving dad at home goes a long way. We must reinstate integrity and dignity and strength within our communities, and we must be models of that work. Those who fight for policy for reproductive justice and reproductive rights must also remember the equity that goes economically with those rights. I don't need a seat at your table if that doesn't mean I'm going to eat. Don't give me equality without equity. Don't give me access without quality care, quality service. I want to thank everyone here for taking the time to come out, to respect International Women's Day, to respect those that came before us and those that we've lost, because we have lost many. Please recognize that we do not work in solitude, that we are all able and available to lift up one another. While you are reaching forward, always remember to reach back. Bring forth the next generation of change makers, of leaders. Thank you.